Good morning, friends. Kindness is a virtue often lauded as the highest human quality, a balm for the world's many wounds. Yet, how strange it is that the same kindness, offered freely, without reservation, can sometimes become the very thing that invites disrespect. You, who choose to be gentle, patient, and generous, may find yourself misunderstood or even taken advantage of. How can this be? Let us begin with a simple truth. Kindness is not weakness. Yet, in a world that often confuses power with dominance and respect with fear, the gentle soul is often misjudged. When you extend kindness, some may see it not as a strength but as an invitation to exploit. A heart that seeks to give without counting the cost is often mistaken for one that will not resist when wronged, since this is the first tragedy of kindness misunderstood. It is met with contempt by those who fail to understand its worth. Consider then the motives of those who respond to kindness with disrespect. For some, it is envy. Your gentleness illuminates their own harshness. Your generosity highlights their selfishness. In their discomfort, they lash out, attempting to diminish you to soothe their own inadequacies. Others are simply blind to the value of kindness. They see only the surface of your actions, mistaking your willingness to give as an endless resource they are entitled to drain. Self-analysis, often regarded as one of the noblest human virtues, is paradoxically one of the most misunderstood traits in today's world. While kindness should ideally evoke gratitude and respect, it is frequently met with skepticism, indifference, or even exploitation. This misunderstanding stems from deeply rooted societal misconceptions about what it means to be kind and how kindness should be perceived. At its core, kindness is an intentional act of goodwill, often requiring empathy, patience, and strength. However, many people interpret kindness through the lens of their own insecurities or flawed perspectives. In a culture that often equates assertiveness with power and harshness with authority, the gentle nature of kindness can seem unfamiliar or even suspect. People sometimes view a kind person as someone who is weak, overly compliant, or lacking the strength to assert themselves. This misinterpretation diminishes the true essence of kindness and undermines its value. For those who hold cynical worldviews, kindness may appear to be disingenuous, a means to manipulate or gain favor. They may question the motives behind generous acts, assuming there must be hidden agendas or ulterior purposes. This skepticism reflects their own mistrust, rather than any shortcoming in kindness itself. Yet it creates a challenging environment for kind-hearted individuals, who must navigate these misconceptions while remaining true to their nature. Additionally, kindness is often misunderstood because it operates on principles that are counter-cultural in many ways. A world driven by competition, self-interest, and materialism struggles to fully appreciate actions rooted in selflessness and altruism. In such a context, kindness may seem naive, as if the kind person is unaware of the real rules of life. This assumption leads to a perception that kindness is not only ineffective, but also a liability, leaving the kind individual vulnerable to exploitation. This misunderstanding is exacerbated when kindness is offered consistently without boundaries. People may come to expect acts of kindness as a default, interpreting them as obligations rather than choices. Over time, this can lead to entitlement, where recipients of kindness no longer value it or recognize the effort behind it. The kind person, in their desire to help, may inadvertently teach others to take their generosity for granted, creating a cycle of unappreciation and disrespect. It is also important to acknowledge that misunderstanding kindness often reveals more about the observer than the giver. To those who have experienced little compassion in their own lives, kindness can feel foreign and even uncomfortable. They may reject or dismiss it because it challenges their preconceptions about human nature. Similarly, Individuals who struggle with their own sense of self-worth may misinterpret acts of kindness as pity, which can trigger defensiveness or hostility. Ultimately, the misunderstanding of kindness is less a reflection of the virtue itself and more a testament to the biases and insecurities of those who fail to recognize its strength. Kindness is not weakness, it is a deliberate choice to prioritize humanity over convenience, empathy over indifference. To fully appreciate it requires a shift in perspective, one that values the courage it takes to be kind in a world that often misunderstands its worth. Kindness, though widely celebrated as a virtue, can paradoxically become a gateway to exploitation when misunderstood or misused by others. This is not a flaw in kindness itself, but rather a reflection of human tendencies to exploit perceived vulnerability. Kind-hearted individuals, often acting out of genuine goodwill, may find themselves in situations where their generosity and empathy are taken for granted or manipulated. Understanding why this happens requires an examination of both the giver and the receiver. When someone extends kindness without hesitation, it is a sign of their strength and willingness to uplift others. However, some people may interpret this selflessness as an infinite resource, or even as a weakness. They may assume that a kind person's boundaries are loose or non-existent, making them easy targets for exploitation. For instance, an employee who consistently goes the extra mile may be burdened with additional tasks because their manager assumes they will not complain. Similarly, a friend who always offers help may find themselves surrounded by people who only contact them in times of need, with little reciprocity. Exploitation often stems from a lack of gratitude or respect for the giver's intentions. Some individuals view kindness as an obligation rather than a choice. When kindness is freely given, it can create an illusion that it is owed. This entitlement can lead people to push boundaries, demanding more time, energy, or resources from the kind person without considering their limitations. Over time, the kind-hearted individual may feel drained, unappreciated, and used, as their efforts are met with expectation rather than gratitude. Additionally, there are those who deliberately exploit kindness for personal gain. These individuals recognize the value of kindness, but manipulate it to serve their interests. They may appeal to a person's empathy, fabricating or exaggerating their struggles to elicit assistance. In relationships, this can manifest as emotional manipulation, where one party consistently leans on the other's generosity without contributing equally. Such exploitation not only harms the giver, but also risks eroding their trust in others, potentially making them wary of extending kindness in the future. In terms of physical trauma, the mental consequences can be massive. It is worth noting that the kind-hearted individual may also contribute to this dynamic, albeit unintentionally. A desire to help others, especially when rooted in empathy, can sometimes lead to overextending oneself. When boundaries are not clearly established, others may assume there are none. Kindness, when given without discretion, can inadvertently teach others to depend on it excessively. While the intention is to uplift, the result can be enabling behavior that fosters dependence or entitlement. To prevent kindness from becoming a pathway to exploitation, it must be coupled with wisdom and boundaries. Saying no when necessary does not diminish kindness, but rather ensures its sustainability. Healthy boundaries help others understand that kindness is a gift, not an obligation, and that the giver's well-being is equally important. While the risk of exploitation exists, it should not deter kindness. Instead, it should encourage thoughtful and intentional acts of goodwill. By balancing compassion with self-respect, kind individuals can protect themselves from being exploited while continuing to make a positive impact in the world. Disrespect toward kindness can seem baffling, especially when kindness is offered with genuine intent. However, such reactions are often rooted in the internal motivations and insecurities of those who respond, with disregard or contempt. Understanding these motivations can help explain why kindness, a virtue meant to inspire harmony, occasionally elicits disrespect instead. One common motivation behind disrespect is envy. Kindness, when displayed sincerely, highlights qualities such as generosity, patience, and selflessness. For those who struggle with these traits, or have chosen more self-serving paths, witnessing kindness can act as a mirror, reflecting their own shortcomings. This comparison may provoke feelings of inadequacy or resentment. Rather than addressing these internal struggles, some individuals deflect by diminishing or ridiculing the kindness they observe. This is an attempt to restore their sense of superiority by belittling what they perceive as unattainable or threatening to their self-position. Another reason for disrespect is skepticism. In a world where motives are often questioned, acts of kindness can seem too good to be true. Many people have experienced manipulation disguised as goodwill, leaving them wary of others' intentions. When someone offers kindness, especially without expecting anything in return, it can trigger suspicion. The recipient may question what hidden agenda lies beneath the surface, leading to dismissive or even hostile behavior. This mistrust is less about the kind individual and more a reflection of the recipient's past experiences or deeply ingrained cynicism. Entitlement is another powerful driver of disrespect. When kindness is given frequently and without boundaries, some individuals begin to see it as an obligation rather than a choice. They may come to expect acts of generosity, viewing them as their due, rather than gifts freely offered. This sense of entitlement diminishes the value of kindness, turning it into a baseline expectation, rather than something to be appreciated. When kindness is no longer recognized as extraordinary, it can easily be overlooked or disrespected. Power dynamics also play a role in how kindness is perceived and treated. In relationships or social hierarchies, where power is equated with dominance or control, kindness can be seen as a sign of submission. Those who value assertiveness as a marker of strength may view kindness as weakness. This misinterpretation can lead them to exploit or undermine kind individuals, assuming they lack the fortitude to resist. In such cases, disrespect becomes a means of asserting dominance over someone perceived as soft or easy to control, and it leads to various sorts of behavior. Ultimately, awareness of power dynamics is critical for managing our space, and such control over interpersonal relationships is essential. Finally, ignorance can drive disrespect. Some individuals fail to understand the effort and intentionality behind acts of kindness. They may see it as a passive quality, not recognizing the courage it takes to be kind in a world that often rewards selfishness. This lack of awareness can result in a casual disregard for kindness, as though it requires no thought or effort. While the motivations behind disrespect are varied, they all stem from internal conflicts or misconceptions within the recipient. Kindness, when offered with wisdom and boundaries, can challenge these negative tendencies and inspire respect over time. It is a testament to the transformative power of kindness that, even in the face of disrespect, it has the potential to change hearts and minds. Kindness is a profound virtue, but it cannot thrive without the structure of healthy boundaries. While kindness embodies compassion and generosity, boundaries provide balance and protection, ensuring that the giver's well-being is not compromised. Without boundaries, even the most well-intentioned acts of kindness can lead to exhaustion, resentment, or exploitation. Establishing limits is not an act of selfishness, but a necessary step to safeguard the integrity of one's kindness. One of the main reasons boundaries are essential is that they help define the limits of what can be reasonably offered. Kind-hearted individuals often have a strong desire to help others, but this desire, when unchecked, can lead to overextension. For example, someone who always says yes to requests for assistance may find themselves overwhelmed by responsibilities, leaving little time for self-care or personal priorities. Over time, this can deplete their emotional and physical energy, making it difficult to continue offering genuine kindness. Boundaries act as a safeguard, ensuring that acts of goodwill are sustainable rather than draining. Boundaries also serve to protect the giver from being taken advantage of. While kindness is often met with gratitude, there are those who may exploit it for personal gain. Without clear limits, people may assume that kindness is an unlimited resource, leading to entitlement and dependency. For instance, if someone consistently helps a friend with financial difficulties, but never establishes a limit, the friend might begin to expect assistance as a right, rather than a favor. Setting boundaries allows the giver to help in a way that is meaningful and manageable, while also teaching the recipient to respect the effort and choice behind the act of kindness. In addition, boundaries foster mutual respect in relationships. When kindness is offered within the framework of clearly defined limits, it signals to others that the giver values their own time, energy, and well-being. This self-respect often encourages others to view the giver's kindness with greater appreciation, rather than as something to be taken for granted. On the other hand, when boundaries are absent, kindness can inadvertently send the message that the giver's needs are secondary, which can erode respect over time. Moreover, boundaries create opportunities for honest communication. They encourage individuals to express their needs and limits openly, fostering healthier relationships built on mutual understanding. For example, saying, "I'm happy to help, but I can only commit to this much," communicates both generosity and self-awareness. This clarity prevents misunderstandings and ensures that kindness is not misinterpreted as obligation. I suggest getting clear on the magic number from 5 to 10. Create a proper self-help guideline and aim for 2 hours a week. Set out boundaries built on mutual understanding and ensures that communicates both generosity and self-awareness. Finally, boundaries empower the giver to offer kindness with intention and purpose. When kindness is given freely but within limits, it remains a choice rather than a compulsion. This freedom allows the giver to act from a place of genuine care rather than guilt or pressure. Boundaries therefore enhance the authenticity and impact of kindness, ensuring it is both meaningful and sustainable. In a world that often confuses kindness with compliance, boundaries are a vital tool. They do not diminish kindness, but amplify its power, ensuring it is respected, valued, and capable of making a lasting difference. By embracing boundaries, kind-hearted individuals can protect themselves while continuing to spread compassion in a way that uplifts both themselves and others. Kindness is often mistaken for an effortless or passive trait, but in truth, it requires immense strength. The human comprehension is often mistaken for an effortless or passive trait, but in truth, it requires immense strength. To be kind in a world that can be harsh, competitive, and self-centered takes courage, resilience, and resolve. Kindness is not merely about being agreeable or accommodating. It is an intentional choice to act with compassion, even when circumstances make it difficult. This choice demands strength because it often goes against the grain of what society values and rewards. Isolate him rather than punish him. In the same way that physical exercise designs strength because it often goes against the grain of what society values and rewards. One of the greatest challenges of kindness is that it requires vulnerability. To extend kindness to another person is to open oneself up to the possibility of rejection, misunderstanding, or even exploitation. For example, offering forgiveness or extending a helping hand to someone who has wronged you demands not only empathy, but also the ability to rise above pride and hurt. This is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it shows emotional fortitude. It takes strength to be kind when it would be easier to be indifferent or retaliatory. Kindness also requires the strength to act in the face of adversity. In situations where anger, frustration, or fear dominate, choosing to respond with kindness can feel counterintuitive. Imagine being treated unfairly or witnessing injustice. While the instinct may be to lash out, Kindness challenges us to respond thoughtfully and constructively. This does not mean passively accepting wrongdoing. Instead, it involves finding ways to address issues with integrity and compassion, which often takes more effort than reacting impulsively. Furthermore, kindness demands perseverance. The world does not always respond to kindness in the way one might hope. There will be times when acts of kindness are met with ingratitude or even disdain. Yet true kindness does not depend on external validation. It requires inner strength to continue being kind, even when it feels unnoticed or unappreciated. This resilience stems from a deep understanding that kindness is not about immediate rewards, but about contributing positively to the lives of others and the world at large. Another aspect of strength in kindness is the ability to set boundaries. Being kind does not mean being a pushover or allowing others to take advantage of your generosity. On the contrary, kindness with strength involves knowing when to say no and when to stand firm. It requires the self-respect to recognize that your own well-being matters and that genuine kindness must be sustainable. Saying no when necessary is not unkind. It ensures that your kindness remains a choice, not an obligation. Finally, kindness requires moral courage. In a society where selfishness or cruelty may be normalized, standing up for kindness can make you a target for criticism or ridicule. Yet, it is precisely in such moments that the strength of kindness shines brightest. To choose kindness in the face of negativity is to affirm a commitment to higher principles, even when doing so feels lonely or challenging. Kindness is not the absence of strength, but its truest expression. It reflects the courage to stay compassionate, the resilience to endure hardships, and the determination to remain a force for good. By embracing kindness with strength, individuals not only uplift others, but also demonstrate the enduring power of humanity's most profound virtue. Respect, a cornerstone of meaningful human relationships, cannot be commanded through force or authority. True respect is inspired by qualities such as integrity, kindness, wisdom, and strength. It is earned, not demanded, and thrives in an environment where actions align with values and words carry the weight of authenticity. While some may attempt to impose respect through fear or power, such efforts often lead to mere compliance rather than genuine admiration. Respect that lasts is cultivated through character and conduct, not coercion. One of the primary reasons respect must be inspired is that it is deeply tied to choice. Respect by its nature involves recognizing and valuing another's worth, and this recognition must come willingly. When individuals act with fairness, compassion, and integrity, they naturally inspire others to acknowledge and appreciate their contributions. For instance, a leader who demonstrates humility, listens actively, and supports their team earns respect through their actions. Their behavior creates a sense of trust and admiration that no title or authority can compel. Demanding respect, on the other hand, often results in resentment rather than reverence. When someone insists on being respected without demonstrating respect-worthiness, it can feel like an imposition. People are more likely to resist such demands, because respect that is not rooted in genuine merit feels hollow. Authority figures, for example, may rely on their position to enforce respect, but without the substance of good character and fair treatment, their influence is likely to falter. Respect born of fear or obligation is fleeting and lacks the depth that comes from genuine admiration. To inspire respect, consistency is key. People respect those who stay true to their principles, even in the face of adversity. Integrity, the alignment of actions with values, sets individuals apart as trustworthy and dependable. When someone consistently acts with honesty, courage, and fairness, they build a reputation that commands respect. Conversely, inconsistency or hypocrisy undermines respect. A person who preaches kindness but behaves selfishly erodes their credibility, making it difficult for others to admire or trust them. Another critical element of inspiring respect is humility. Respect is often given to those who acknowledge their imperfections and remain open to growth. Humility fosters connection because it allows others to see the humanity in someone, making them more relatable and approachable. It also demonstrates a willingness to learn and adapt, qualities that inspire confidence and admiration. Arrogance, or an unwillingness to admit fault, in contrast, alienates others and diminishes respect. Finally, respect is inspired through empathy and the way we treat others. A person who consistently shows understanding, compassion, and generosity toward others earns respect, not only for their kindness, but also for their strength of character. Respect grows when people see someone using their strengths to uplift others, rather than to dominate or belittle them. In fact, as we might expect it, respect grows in this too, for it grows us as well. In the end, respect cannot be forced or purchased. It must be earned through actions that reflect genuine care, integrity, and strength. By living authentically and treating others with dignity, respect naturally flows, building stronger relationships and a legacy of admiration that endures far beyond superficial authority. Kindness possesses an extraordinary transformative power that extends far beyond simple acts of goodwill. It has the ability to change individuals, relationships, and even communities, creating ripples of positivity that can spread across lives and generations. At its core, kindness is not just about helping others. It is a profound force that fosters connection, promotes healing, and inspires growth in both the giver and the receiver. One of the most remarkable aspects of kindness is its ability to bridge divides. In a world often marked by conflict and misunderstanding, a simple act of kindness can disarm hostility and open the door to dialogue. When someone chooses to respond to anger or bitterness with compassion, it has the potential to shift the dynamic of the interaction. For example, a genuine apology or a thoughtful gesture can soften even the hardest of hearts, breaking down walls of mistrust and resentment. Kindness reminds us of our shared humanity, dissolving barriers that often separate us. Kindness also has a profound impact on personal healing. For those who are struggling with pain, loss, or insecurity, even a small act of kindness can provide a sense of hope and validation. A kind word, or a listening ear, can remind someone that they are valued and not alone in their struggles. Research has shown that kindness releases endorphins and oxytocin, creating feelings of happiness and reducing stress. This chemical response not only uplifts the recipient, but also has a positive effect on the giver, creating a virtuous cycle of well-being. Moreover, kindness has the power to inspire change. Witnessing acts of kindness often motivates others to act similarly, sparking a chain reaction of goodwill. When someone experiences kindness, they are more likely to pass it on, creating a ripple effect that can transform entire communities. This phenomenon, often referred to as paying it forward, illustrates how kindness can multiply, reaching far beyond its initial impact. It turns individual acts of care into collective movements of generosity and compassion. In relationships, kindness serves as the foundation for trust, respect, and growth. A consistent pattern of kindness fosters emotional safety, allowing individuals to be vulnerable and authentic with one another. This strengthens bonds and deepens connections, whether in friendships, families, or romantic partnerships. Acts of kindness, even small ones, such as expressing gratitude or offering support, reinforce the value of the relationship and create an environment where both parties can thrive. End quote. Psychotherapist Lacey Hamilton. Kindness also has the potential to transform the giver. Choosing kindness, especially in challenging situations, cultivates empathy, patience, and emotional intelligence. It challenges individuals to rise above their immediate impulses and act in ways that align with their highest values. Over time, this practice of kindness can lead to personal growth, fostering a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Ultimately, the transformative power of kindness lies in its ability to uplift, connect, and inspire. It is a force that transcends cultural, social, and personal boundaries, reminding us of our shared humanity and our capacity to make a positive difference. Through kindness, we not only improve the lives of others, but also contribute to a better, more compassionate world. To resolve to be wisely kind is to approach kindness with intentionality, balance, and discernment. Kindness, while a deeply powerful force for good, can sometimes be misunderstood or misapplied, leading to unintended consequences. Without wisdom, acts of kindness may inadvertently lead to exploitation, depletion, or resentment, especially when boundaries are not respected, or when kindness is offered indiscriminately. Being wisely kind involves understanding when and how to act with compassion, in ways that are both meaningful and sustainable, not just for the recipient, but for the giver as well. The first aspect of wisely choosing kindness is understanding the importance of boundaries. Kindness, while generous and selfless, should never come at the expense of one's well-being. Often, people give so much of themselves, thinking that kindness requires endless sacrifice. However, wisdom teaches us that true kindness involves recognizing one's limits and acting within them. This means saying no when necessary, ensuring that the kindness offered does not drain or overwhelm the giver. By setting boundaries, we not only protect ourselves, but also demonstrate to others the value of healthy relationships, based on mutual respect rather than obligation. Wisely kind individuals also know when not to give. Kindness is not always about providing assistance or support, especially when it may encourage unhealthy dependency or enable harmful behaviors. Sometimes the most kind and compassionate thing we can do is to withhold help, allowing others to learn, grow, or face the consequences of their actions. For instance, offering financial support to someone who repeatedly mismanages their money may ultimately harm both the recipient and the giver. True wisdom lies in knowing when to step back and allow others to face challenges on their own, empowering them to make necessary changes. Another crucial aspect of wise kindness is authenticity. Kindness should never be a means of self-promotion or a strategy to gain approval or favor. Genuinely kind actions come from a place of sincerity, free from hidden motives. Being wise in kindness means acting out of love and compassion, rather than out of obligation or a desire for recognition. It requires emotional honesty, ensuring that we are not simply performing acts of kindness to meet external expectations or to mask our own insecurities. True kindness is driven by a deep care for others, not by a desire to be perceived as good or virtuous. Additionally, wisely kind people understand the power of timing. Kindness is most effective when given at the right moment. Offering help when someone is ready to receive it, or providing encouragement when someone is open to growth, can have a far greater impact than trying to intervene prematurely. Wisdom teaches us to observe, listen, and be patient, allowing us to understand not only what others need, but also when they need it most. Finally, resolving to be wisely kind means knowing how to balance kindness with strength. It takes strength to maintain kindness in a world that often rewards selfishness and cruelty. It requires fortitude to stay compassionate in the face of disrespect or indifference. Wise kindness doesn't shy away from difficult situations. Instead, it rises to meet them with grace and understanding, always tempered with respect for oneself and others. In summary, to resolve to be wisely kind is to choose a path of intentional, thoughtful,